Hello everyone and welcome to another royal reading here at MadWorldTarot. And I am now going to look at this thorny question of a rescue, a contingency plan that has been talked about around and about on various platforms, people speculating. There have been strange tales in the press as well of William and Catherine reaching out and asking Harry and Meghan to come and visit with the kids, and then Meghan saying never and rejecting the offer and all of that. We're going to look at Prince William in the next one. Now we're going to look at the King, and we're going to look at this theory that's coming from Bookworm 2 and her YouTube channel, but it's showing up in my cards as well, which is why I'm going to have a look at it now using the vehicle of tarot. This notion of a contingency plan to basically rescue Harry. And I have the new Palladini Tarot on the tarot table for this one. I'm going to do a Celtic cross. And the theory is that Harry has got himself into so much trouble with the visa problem, the P. Diddy scandal that has erupted recently, and possibly even marriage problems and marital woes, that he might need to be airlifted out, just like he was out of Afghanistan all those years ago. That there might be some kind of a plan that the King apparently is softening towards the idea, mellowing towards the idea of welcoming has-been back into the fold, whether as a working royal or just as a pity project. Give him a grace and favour home, buy some police protection, keep him out of harm's way. He does seem incapable of looking after himself, and the King obviously feels a tremendous amount of guilt towards Harry for the way he was brought up, the things that happened in the past, and blah blah blah. All of that stuff that is swirling around, and Meghan trying to get PR in the UK and trying to manifest herself as a working royal again. All of that stuff is swirling around in the background, and there are rumours about meetings being forced on Prince William between Harry and the King and Prince William when Harry goes back for the Invictus Games anniversary service in May. All of that. Celtic cross coming up. Going to look at it from the King's point of view. How is he feeling? Of course, when Harry flew in, when the King's cancer diagnosis was made public, and Harry was among the last to be told, Harry jumped on the plane. The King made sure to make it very publicly obvious that he was giving Harry all of 30 minutes at most, and he was off in a helicopter to Sandringham, and Harry was staying at the Ritz. And so that was a pretty clear message, and took away Frogmore Cottage and demoted has-been and Meghan on the royal website and all of that. So that's the counter argument. But we look at rumour and speculation here on this channel, so we're going to look at this story from the King's point of view. Is he planning a rescue mission for the has-been? And what's it going to entail if he does? And just see what the cards want to tell us. Okay, I think we're good to go. And of course, we have to remind you, one more, that this is just tarot, and this is just for fun and entertainment, and it is just speculation, in my opinion. And I'm just looking at energy, and let us remind you, of course, that there is a disclaimer in the box below. Let's see what is going on right now with the King. He of course is ill. He is facing his own mortality. He, I'm sure, doesn't want to leave things in a mess with his son, his Richard son. We have the moon in reverse as our underlying energy. And the moon is about fears and doubts and confusion when it's upright. Things that are troubling. Things that fester, things that sit in the subconscious, and they get projected out if you're not aware of them, if you don't do the inner work. It's in reverse. It is, of course, the Diana card as well, one of them. The moon, Diana, the hunter, goddess, and it's in reverse. That's the trouble with the mother. Moon also can mean mother, past, childhood, all of that stuff. The moon represents a lot of stuff: emotions, nurturing, the way you were raised. You can read all of that into the moon. And the moon in reverse is telling me that this sits very heavily on the king's soul. This idea that he failed Harry as Harry was a child and then into his teens because of his relationship with Harry's mother. So it's sitting there. But it's also, as I said at the start, the doubt and fear and confusion card. And when it's in reverse, you start to begin to see clearly. And hopefully you overcome your fears and your doubts, and you can maybe move forward in a more constructive way. And that's possibly what's going on. What was made very clear in Bookworm 2's video about this was that the king does not trust Meghan Markle. He knows that he can't trust her. He also knows that the people are very opposed to the idea of Harry and Meghan coming back to the UK, whether as working royals, dare I even say that, or just as people. And the moon represents the people. So this moon card, I could write a book on that card and what it represents in this reading, and with Harry and Meghan and the people and trust issues and confusion and doubt and fear and what's going on. It's all sitting in there. One card saying so much. So let's see the situation that the king is currently sitting in. 5 of Rods, that is conflict, wrestling with the situation, fighting with people. I would say that would be with Prince William, possibly others in the royal family, not just Prince William, Princess Royal, Sophie and Edward. There might be quite a few of them stacked up saying absolutely not. And the king saying, well, he is my son, and he's a dimwit, and he is lost, and he's made a big mess, and he's in terrible trouble, and someone's got to do something. And they are all saying he is 40 years old and a treacherous snake, and absolutely not. That is the 5 of Rods. That is fighting in a group. Who's going to dominate? Who's going to get their way? Interesting. What is the problem facing the king? The problem facing the king is the Page of Rods. Press, news, image. How's it going to look? How are people going to receive this? If suddenly it's announced that the has-been and his wife and the children are back for 6 months of the year, they're half in, half out, I don't think Meghan's going to fall for it myself. Just read on that yesterday. But maybe for financial reasons she'll go along with the pretense of it anyway, I don't know. But it's how it's going to look. How is this going to be sold to people? How is this message going to be presented to them that's going to make it acceptable to them? Big problem, I would say, reading the comments around. There's just been a poll in the Express newspaper, for what it's worth. And I think it's a 93% no to can Harry come back. Well, that ghastly noise that you might have heard was a little Jack Russell that suddenly woke up and decided he wanted to go for a walk. So we've just been for a very short walk down the road and back again. And I'm going to pick up where I left off, and we are looking at the king and whether he has a contingency plan for his son Harry. And let's look at why it might be. Oh my goodness. Yeah, okay, that's a bit of a harsh card, unfortunately. The Death card is, of course, the Scorpio card, is the King card, but it is endings and transformation. And I think in this particular reading and in this particular context, down there in that motivation, that hidden place in the Celtic cross, I do think it is his own sense of his own mortality that is driving this, and it's perfectly understandable for me. I have sympathy for the man because of this, his cancer diagnosis, and whatever is going on in his life. I can understand why he wants to mend things and make sure that everybody is looked after, even the traitors, even the wretches, the ones who have brought so much trouble into the royal family, caused so much trouble. There it is for me. It's a difficult energy to read. It makes me feel very sad. I know a lot of people are very angry about this and feel that it's outrageous and how dare he and all the rest of it, but I understand it. There it is. So what is his goal if this is going on? We don't know. This is the Ace of Rods. This is a fresh start. Aces are always new beginnings. The Ace of Rods is something, I think he's scratching around trying to find something that he can get Harry to do, like they cooked up the whole Invictus Games thing for him after the Vegas debacle, and he left the British Army because he had to have a desk job and write exams and pass drug tests allegedly, and couldn't do any of those things. They had to cook up the Invictus Games, and he's looking for something similar for the has-been now. A new project, a new passion project, whether it's something environmental, although that wouldn't look very good with what's going on with African parks and Travelist and all the private jets and all the squandering of resources and everything else that's going on. But that is what is going on. Rehab him, find him something useful to do. I use the words to do very loosely indeed. And so yes, you can hear some snark, and yes, I do feel snark. I don't think personally that Harry is capable of doing anything useful. That is my opinion. They managed to dress him decently and hose him down and send him out to cut ribbons and things, and he was able to do that if he was managed very carefully. But I don't think he's actually capable of running anything, organizing anything, doing anything for the long haul. That is my very own, very negative opinion of him as a human being. So, past events, what's been going on, I listed some of the things: the visa scandal, the marital woes, the bot thing that might be being exposed, that's another one, the P. Diddy thing. How does the king feel about the past? Seven of Swords. Yeah. That's a wrongdoing card. It's the thief in tarot, the Seven of Swords, somebody who's got away with something and now he's rolling around on the floor, having a good scratch. He's quiet all day. Press the record button and this starts. It's quite amazing. But the Seven of Swords is the Megxit card, is also wrongdoing, is unethical behavior. It can be worse than unethical behavior, but I'm treading carefully with the words that I'm using. And there is obviously the fear in that card, that Seven of Swords, that behavior is going to be exposed. Upright, it hasn't been exposed, but there is the potential for exposure. And we're sitting in a critical time at the moment. And another pause and another little bit of a game that we had to have. 15-year-old Jack Russell, deaf, senile, arthritis. And unfortunately, the dementia does make him a little bit difficult to manage sometimes. So that is what's going on. And I'm going to try and plow on with this reading and stick with these cards and not start again, because these are interesting cards for me as a tarot reader. And that Seven of Swords tells me that today is the deadline for the paperwork that the judge has requested for them to produce that. Dan Wootton is exposing stuff about the Sussex Squad on YouTube, and there are all kinds of things bubbling away that could erupt in Harry's life at any second, and that is that Seven of Swords for me that the king is painfully aware of, I should imagine. So what's coming next in this scenario of maybe rescuing him? We have the Three of Swords. That doesn't bode well. It could be that the marriage is over with that Three of Swords. And I see that in the cards. I've read on it repeatedly, and it shows up repeatedly that the marriage is in very serious trouble, and there are rumors swirling around about that currently. It's also a card of betrayal, and it could indicate that even though the hand of friendship is offered out to Harry and Meghan, because she's included in this scenario, allegedly, there is some rejection, some ultimate betrayal. And this is the trust issue. How can you trust people who have done the things, said the things, accused the royals of the things that Harry and Meghan have? And with that Seven of Swords energy around them of really a lot of wrongdoing. And I could use a much stronger word than wrongdoing. And I'm going to throw in allegedly in there just to protect myself. But the Three of Swords is a card of treachery, is a card of heartache and betrayal, breaking trust, choosing someone else over the person that you should choose. And it might just be that for all this work that's being done, and I do get an energy of this in this reading, very much so, that there is some kind of planning going on. It might be that Harry turns around and stabs the royal family again, and betrays them again, and rejects them, and does something really awful and really painful. It's hard to tell. We need the final outcome to see what that card really means. But it could mean very bad news for Harry and his marriage, but it could also mean very bad news for the king, in the sense that this very toxic son of his could really hurt him one very final time, very painfully. How does the king view Harry right now? Eight of Cups in reverse, somebody who's made a real mess and is stuck in it. Eight of Cups, of course, the moving away from difficulties, from pain, from regret, from bad things that have happened. But he sees Harry being really stuck and unable to leave a situation. And of course, I read on the children yesterday, if Harry wants to walk away, if he wants to leave the marriage, if he wants to return to the UK, he can't, because it means losing the children, bluntly put. That's the energy that's coming through for me, and that's what I speculate, and I should imagine that that is a real issue for the royal family. What are they going to do about this? So what pressure is the king under? Going back to the king, there is the devil has shown up in this reading. The devil. How to break that tie, that obsession, that relationship that is so toxic, that has done so much damage to Harry, to the royal family, to the British public, the British press, the world. There is a war going on X at the moment, with all the bots and with all the little squaddies out and about, and it's going on elsewhere as well. And it's so toxic, it's so vile, it's the worst of the worst of the worst that has happened. And the devil is that energy, that toxic, angry, vicious, vengeful energy. It's addictive, it's dangerous, it's duplicitous, it's evil. How to undo that? In Harry, and the path that he has gone down as a result of his association with this energy and the embodiment of this energy, picking my words carefully, in my opinion, again, and also to dissociate the royal family from this level of toxicity, so that the public can allow or can accept the return of this brat of a prince into their midst, whether as a working royal or a Prince Andrew sort of case, have the huge home, and you can show up for family occasions like Christmas and Easter, and you can swagger down the road in your finery, but for the rest of the time go away. The Page of Rods. So hopes and fears for the king in this rather disjointed reading. Sorry about all the disruption. He's gone to bed now and he's about to fall asleep. We have the Page of Pentacles in reverse. It's broken deals. The king worries that if he puts something together, some kind of contingency plan, some kind of deal like was thrashed out at Sandringham when the Queen was still alive and Megxit was happening. It's the same kind of energy with the Page of Pentacles, very much a contractual energy for me. It's breach of contract when it's in reverse. If they thrash something out and make Harry and maybe Meghan sign on the dotted line, you can come back, you can get this allowance, you can get this palace or castle or whatever, I'm exaggerating. You can get room at St. James Palace. What's to stop them from betraying that trust? The Three of Swords is sitting here in this reading, and the Moon, and the Seven of Swords. A lot of cards are very dodgy behavior, unreliable behavior, untrustworthy behavior. What's to stop them from selling stories again to Netflix, to Oprah, to whoever? And that is breaking some deal, some agreement for money. That's how I'm reading that card. That is what is worrying the king, and I would say absolutely. And the story is that he doesn't trust, and he's right not to trust with this energy in this reading. So what's going to happen? Outcome of this thought process. Wow, that's a return, Ten of Cups. Whether it is genuinely happy or not, Ten of Cups always, but it's the Happy Families card back in the bosom of the family. My personal sense is that how this is reading with the Three of Swords is that there's the breakup of the marriage, and Harry comes back into the fold, and he's accepted at the Prince Andrew level because he is family. I nearly said blood family, and then I caught myself and I stopped. That was interesting. But the Ten of Cups is, I think the king is going to get his way. I think that Harry's life is now so bad in the United States, and he has got himself into so much trouble that he doesn't really have any other options, particularly with this card sitting here. And that there might be some possibility. It's very clear with this Eight of Cups in reverse that the king sees the marriage as toxic, as finished, Harry's situation as being wretched, much deserved misery, in my opinion. And of course this is all my opinion, but the problematic issue is herself with that energy, and what to do about that, how to break that spell, shall we say, because that's the problem. And of course, that's my opinion. Again, to get from there, Three of Swords, Devil, Eight of Cups in reverse, to there. The big obstacle in all of this is Prince William. And hence the Five of Rods at the heart of this reading. Fighting in the family about this. Does Prince William want to see Has been around? Does he want him close to home? Does he want herself close to home? With the level of threats that have been aimed at his wife, we're going to look at that in the hopefully much more peaceful next reading.